Mika Waitiri.
Te māngai te whare tēnā koe, inga membo te whare nei tēnā tātou katoa. Au kui rauranga tirama, I koe mā e koroma. E te iwi kua tai mai, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Tēnā koutou I runga te kaupapa whakahirahira. He pānui tuarua o koutou pire. Te pire whakataunga I ngā kareme o Rangitāne o Manawatu. Nō reira, tēnā koutou nau mai, hoki mai. Mr Speaker, it's indeed my privilege to take a call on the second reading of the Rangitāne o Manawatu Settlement Bill. And before I kick off and talk about the bill, Sir, can I stand here in all humility on behalf of the people that I represent in this House, the iwi I represent in this House, from Te Taira Whiti, from Kahungunu, from Rangitāne, to Te Atiawa ki awa nui a rangi, Te awa kairangi, to offer my disappointment that the people of Rangitāne or Manawatu have to wait to see their bill read a third time. And without no doing of yourselves, you have found yourself subject to yet another delay. And so I just want to go on record on behalf of the people I represent of Ikaro Rāwhiti in acknowledging your tolerance at no doing of your own. So ngā mihi ki a koutou. Sir, the process in checking and researching this bill, I just want to note that the terms of reference was signed way back in 27th of July 1998 with Sir Douglas Graham. The heads of agreement, which was a precursor to the agreement in principle, was signed on the 25th of November 1999. Then this claim went into a 10-year hiatus. And the deed of settlement was initialled here in this whare in the Mātangi Rea room on the 1st of May 2015. And with my colleague, our colleague, Adrian Rurewhia, the member of Te Taihau Uru, we joined with the whānau to celebrate that initial signing in Mātangi Rea room. Then the deed of settlement was finally signed on the 14th of November 2015, and of course the first reading we had on the 15th of March 2016. Sir, at the second reading, it's important that we reflect back into the House what transpired through the Select Committee process. And there are two particular comments I want to make in that regard. I'm not a member of the Māori Affairs Select Committee, but I do have a passion of treaty settlements and land retention in terms of the hands of Māori. But Sir, I do want to acknowledge the work of the very hard-working Māori Affairs Select Committee, ably chaired by the Honourable Member Nuk Korako, and of course all the members on the House that have participated in dealing with this claim. Sir, like all claims, each and every one is unique. And when I read this claim, particularly the historic account, and I want to just take the opportunity, Sir, to just reflect a couple of passages, because it, for me, summarised just some of the hurt and humiliation that the Rangitāne or Manawatu people suffered. And this is part 1, clause 8, subclause 3, and I quote, "In 1864, the Crown purchased approximately 250,000 acres in the Te Ahua Tūranga block from Rangitāne or Manawatu for £12,000. The Crown urged Rangitāne or Manawatu to sell as much land as possible and succeeded in reducing the size of the reserves to be made from the sale for Rangitāne or Manawatu from 5,000 acres to 2,570 acres. The reserves that were made did not include several areas of great cultural significance. After the Crown declined requests from Rangitāne or Manawatu to change the reserves, the iwi repurchased several of their kāinga in the block. In 1867, the Crown gave 71 acres of the block to another iwi without consulting Rangitāne or Manawatu. the land is now central Palmerston North and valuable commercial and residential real estate. So, Sir, here we have yet again a disposition of more land of the haukainga and gifted to another iwi. And in all treaty settlements, there are pockets where this has occurred. And I just reference that because this is taking definitely land that belonged to Rangitāne or Manawatu and giving it to another iwi. And all I can say is the iwi that has got this land has probably had an injustice done to them. So we have two wrongs that don't equal a right. But I wanted to raise that because it's in the historical count of this bill. So I just wanted to mention that, Sir. And then if I turn to the apology of the bill, this is, again, Part 10, Part 1, Clause 10, Subclause E. And it states this: the Crown deeply regrets its failure to appropriately acknowledge the mana and rangatiratanga of Rangitāne or Manawatu. Through this apology and by this settlement, the Crown seeks to atone for its wrongs and begin the process of healing. The Crown looks forward to re-establishing its relationship with Rangitāne or Manawatu based on mutual trust, cooperation and respect for the Treaty of Waitangi and its principles. And you might ask, Sir, why am I making reference to that particular clause in the bill? It is because over recent times in this House, I have seen legislation passed under urgency by majority that actually goes completely against that statement. Completely against that statement. The Public Works Act is an example. We're currently trying to deal with the Kumadex, which is a treaty settlement. And so when I read statements like this, it is incumbent on the Crown to uphold this when they're dealing with other pieces of legislation. Otherwise, it makes clauses like this untrue. That if we are going to re-establish mutual trust, cooperation and respect for the Treaty of Waitangi and principles, then that covers everything we do in this House. Not just for this particular iwi's treaty settlements, but for all New Zealanders. And I think you get my point on that, Sir. So I want to turn, like I said earlier, to the contributions and the hard-working work of the Māori Affairs Select Committee. And there are two submissions. I noticed there were 9 made, but I just want to reference two, Mr. Speaker, particularly. One was written or submitted by Ngāti Apa. And the reason why I want to raise this, Sir, is because many of our people do not see any value in the Select Committee process. And I wanted to reference these two particular submissions because of the way they were received, but also the way in which the committee considered them and in a considered way have reported back to the House. And so if we are, as Māori, going to have an impact or influence on how legislation is made, then the Select Committee process, I can't speak highly enough of it. So the two that I want to highlight, Sir, is the Ngāti Apa. And of course, this is about the Ngāti Apa hapu of Ngāti Tauira. And the issue here was that it is currently, the hapu of Ngāti Tauira is currently in the Ngāti Apa settlement. And essentially their submission was, we're in Ngāti Tauira is in Ngāti Apa, but they're also reflected in this bill here that we are talking about today. And what I do notice, and when I read the Māori Affairs response to that, and I think it was a very valid response, and that was around saying that there's no exclusive rights to a hapu. And so although it appears in this bill, it doesn't mean that everyone has to come under Rangitāne or Manawatu, likewise with Ngāti Apa. And I thought that that was a well-considered response to obviously Ngāti Apa's concerns. The other one, Mr. Speaker, was the one put in by Rangitāne Settlement Negotiation trust. And in their submission, they talked about the kind of shared area of interest with Rangitāne or Manawatu. And, oh, my time's up. Oh my gosh, that was been wonderful. I commend this bill to the House. Thank you very much, and aroha mai, kia ora tātou i te whānau.